Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Wisdom from the Akasha podcast. My name is Susie. I am your host and I am an Akashic Records teacher and practitioner. Before I get into today's topic, I would first like to apologise for the audio. I know I'm going to sound very bunged up. This is post-holiday, post-aircon congestion. So I do apologise if I do sound a little bit more muffled and more bunged up than usual. A quick reminder about some upcoming events and dates that I have going on. The end of August is going to be very busy. I have a free Akashic Records workshop online on Zoom on the 22nd of August. You are all more than welcome to come along, meet me over there and bring all of your questions. We then have the Soul Purpose Alignment Masterclass taking place on the 25th of August. And then we have the third part of the Astral Realm series in the membership on the 29th of August. So quite a packed week. I would love to see you all at any of those events. I have had a couple of people reach out asking about how to join the membership. And if you just click on to the next members only live on the appointments page, that gets you into the membership. From that point, what will happen is you'll receive an email with the passcode to the members area, and you can go and watch all of the previous workshops that have been held in there, and of course attend the live event. After that ending of August, we're straight into my next level 1 training, which is for everybody, complete beginners. You don't have to have any experience whatsoever in the Akashic Records, and that starts on September the 4th, and that is a 6-week live class. If you are unable to attend live with any of these things, please do not panic. I always provide access to the recordings. If you are, say, doing level 1 with me in September, and you have questions in between the classes, I'm of course always available via email to help you on your journey working with your own Akashic Records. Now that all of that is out of the way, I want to talk today about a question that I got on an Instagram live that I did last week. It's something that I get asked quite a lot, and it's, are the Akashic Records dangerous? The short answer to this, of course, is no, the Akashic Records are not dangerous. But I want to get into where I believe that this misconception comes from so that you have a better understanding. I always want everybody to feel very able to come and ask me any question about absolutely anything, especially when I'm doing these lives over on Instagram or my workshops, because there is no such thing as a stupid question. When you're on your spiritual journey, if you ever have a teacher or a mentor who you are going to for advice and guidance and you ask a question and they make you feel that it's stupid to ask that question, I would distance myself from that person, because everybody on their spiritual journey is learning, growing, evolving, and questions are really good ways for us to have these conversations about things. I want to explain my answer, and then you can go away and feel into whether or not my perspective on this resonates with you. So the answer is no, because the Akashic Records are multidimensional. And when you're working with the Akashic Records, you're accessing information and energy that is 5th dimensional and above. 5th dimensional and above is unconditional love and above. The illusion of duality only exists up to the 4th dimension. So there is nothing bad, there is nothing dangerous, there is nothing harmful that is ever going to come through to you in the Akashic Records. The guides in the Akashic Records are never going to be anything other than completely loving, see you as an equal, looking to guide and assist your spiritual development and your growth and evolution. They are never going to belittle you. They are never going to tell you you're being a pain, that you've asked a stupid question. That just doesn't happen in the Akashic Records. So where does this question come from? Why do people have this belief that the Akashic Records might be dangerous? My perception about this is that lots of people have experiences with the fake versions of the Akashic Records, and there are many, many fake versions of the Akashic Records. I'll explain how I think this happens so that hopefully you can avoid having this type of an experience. The astral realm has fake versions of everything in it. In the astral realm, you can meet fake Buddha, you can meet fake Jesus, you can meet fake Archangel Michael. There are fake versions of everything within the astral realm. The point of the astral realm, remember, is to learn discernment, is to really be able to feel into resonance, is to be able to consciously decide with your free will, am I going to connect to this energy and receive guidance from this energy or not? Do I feel that this energy is of the evolutionary impulse, or do I feel that this energy is of the devolutionary impulse? This is the point of the astral realm. And the astral realm itself is absolutely huge. It's a huge topic, hence why we are on the third workshop in the membership around the astral realm, because it is such a big topic. Now, there is nothing wrong with working in the astral realm. Lots of you will be astral workers, which is itself a subcategory of light workers. So there is nothing wrong with working in the astral realm. But what we need to do is we need to start having an understanding as to what the astral realm is and what exists in the astral realm and its esoteric purpose. Part of the astral realm is the mirror realm. This tends to be what you traditionally refer to as the middle astral realm, and this is where a lot of you will spend time when you are asleep. So when you have a dream and you're in surroundings that are familiar to you, but there's something different about them. So it's maybe the town that you live in, but there's different buildings. People in your dream are people who you know, but there's something different about them. This is the mirror realm at work, because it is this mirror realm and it has this reflective quality. Everything that does exist has a mirror aspect within the astral realm. So, of course, the Akashic Records exist, but they exist in higher dimensions than the astral realm. What happens to a lot of people when they start to learn about the Akashic Records and they start to want to explore the Akashic Records is they will do a guided meditation on YouTube, for example, and this is not me bashing the guided meditations on YouTube at all. But what happens is, because they are not an experienced meditator, because they don't understand the different dimensions, they don't understand that the astral realm is just one of the many realms, and that in meditation you learn how to move through the astral realm into the higher spiritual realms. Because they aren't aware of this, they will do a guided meditation, go to one of these fake versions of the Akashic Records in the astral realm, and then find that when they get there, the most common thing I hear is that the guides are rude to them, that they say that they are not allowed to access their Akashic Records, or that they're just very belittling and dismissive. Now, I know as soon as somebody says that that's their experience, that they have not been to the Akashic Records, that they have been to one of the many fake versions of the Akashic Records. So if this has happened to you and you're listening to this podcast, you haven't done anything wrong. I'm not criticizing you. What I'm saying is that this is a normal part of your development experience to go through experiences of the illusion that exists also in the astral realm. What then happens, of course, is that person will then go and tell their friends, oh, I've went to the Akashic Records and these energies were mean to me, or I got this information through, but it just didn't resonate with me. This is all because of going to the fake versions of the Akashic Records. Can you access the Akashic Records through meditation? Absolutely, and it's one of the methods that I teach in my level 1 class. However, you do have to be an experienced meditator. from the perspective of you have to understand where you're going. And again, I go through the different dimensions within the Akashic Records in the training. If you're not comfortable learning how to go in via meditation, it's completely okay. We use a sacred prayer that was gifted to me by the Akashic Records, and in using that prayer, you do not need to know where you're going from a meditative perspective. So I teach two methods. One is via the meditation method, and one is accessing via my sacred prayer. Both are completely safe, and you're given all of the information that you need to be able to do both of those safely. However, the prerequisite, if you want to go in via the meditation method, is to have a good understanding of where you're going when you do meditate. If you're somebody who naturally goes straight into the astral realm or is very connected to the astral realm, maybe you're an astral worker, then for you it's probably going to be best to go in via the sacred prayer method so that you can really get a feel for it. Lots of people who will train with me will learn how to go in via the sacred prayer method first, and they will practice that first. And then once they're more comfortable and they know the frequency that they're looking for when they're accessing the Akashic Records, then they will start to access via meditation. There are many different ways to access the Akashic Records. These are just the two methods that I teach and that are most effective for most students. Another myth I hear a lot around the Akashic Records is people will reach out to me and they will say, a friend of mine or an ex of mine has told me that they have been in the Akashic Records and they have changed my Akashic Records. Whatever malevolent reason somebody has wanted to break into your Akashic Records, change your Akashic Records, whatever that is, the fact of the matter is that the Akashic Records are so well protected that nobody can access your Akashic Records without your consent. So if you have been told that by somebody and you're worried about it, please let this settle your mind. Your Akashic Records are accessible to you and they're accessible to a practitioner if you consent to them accessing your Akashic Records. If you do not consent, nobody can access your Akashic Records. Nobody can change your Akashic Records. Even when someone like myself is providing a clearing session in which we're working with your higher self and your guides to move through energetic stagnation caused by things like past life trauma, ancestral issues, cords with other people. There's no changes being made to the Akashic Records themselves. The information is always going to be in there. What's happening in that process is stagnation, so blocks that are occurring are being moved through for you then to transmute. Nobody's wiping any information out. Nobody's erasing anything from the Akashic Records. It's more about moving that energetic stagnation through. The last misconception that I want to cover in today's episode is people have this belief that they are not good enough, that they are not spiritually evolved enough, whatever that means, that they are not clairvoyant, or they don't consider themselves psychic or intuitive, so they're not going to be able to access the Akashic Records. All of this is complete nonsense. Now, there was a time in human history when the Akashic Records were something that were only accessible to a small handful of individuals, but it has to do with the level of consciousness at that time of humanity. This is no longer the case. As I'm sure lots of you who are listening to this are aware, we are going through an expansion, a raising of consciousness of humanity as a whole, and the Akashic Records are now something that are accessible to you as and when you are ready. What you will often find is that you will start to hear about the Akashic Records. When you start to hear about the Akashic Records, you find this podcast, you find my content on social media, that's a really good sign that you're ready to start working with the Akashic Records. There is no end point in respect of your spiritual evolution in which you have to get to before you can start working with the Akashic Records. Of course, as you go through your spiritual evolution and your spiritual development, the more you do that, the more you're going to access new information from the Akashic Records, because they are multidimensional and you are going to get more and more and more from them the more that you evolve. One of the reasons that I absolutely adore the Akashic Records is because I am someone who likes to continue to learn, to continue to grow. And the fact that I can ask a question to the Akashic Records that I asked years ago and get new information and deeper understanding of certain things, I think is amazing. There will, of course, come a time when we don't need methods of accessing the Akashic Records. And for some of you, you'll actually be accessing the Akashic Records now when you are out for a walk and you're spending some time in neutral. When you get those drop-in moments, those aha moments, those sparks of inspiration, a lot of the time you're actually accessing the Akashic Records. People who are really tuned into creativity, so writing music, making art, a lot of the time they're accessing an aspect of the Akashic Records. And there will come a time when consciousness is of a level when that is just something that we do as humans all of the time. We won't need methods for accessing, but that time is not anytime soon as far as the evolution of consciousness is going. If you do want to start working with your Akashic Records and you like my perspectives on them and you feel like I'm going to resonate with you as a teacher, I would love to see you in class in September. I always recommend that people come along to the free workshops that I do if they want to study with me, so you can get again a feel for me, how I work, how I operate, because I do want you to feel very, very comfortable with me and with being able to ask me questions along the way. If you are listening to this after this goes out, don't worry, I teach the Akashic Records all year long. There will be upcoming dates. I will, of course, put the next dates into the show notes. And if it's just not the right time for you, again, please don't worry. I will be teaching this again in 2025. There will always be opportunities to study with me live in the future. I hope that you found this episode useful. I hope if you have heard any of these things that it's hopefully put your mind at rest and that you feel more confident in your ongoing practice and your journey with your Akashic Records. I look forward to seeing you all next week for the next episode.